It's bad at my collecting dust at the bottom. That's how long it's been sitting since we've done a remote.
One.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football House. We're joining from two houses today. Dustin's joining us from his casa, and I'm
What's
over
up?
here at the Casa de Josh today. Week one. Week one is done. We're rolling into week two. Crazy first week. What you thinking about it, Dustin?
I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, we didn't have a lot of the people that were supposed to go off didn't really go off, and a lot of people that were not supposed to put up any points went ahead and showed us what they're made of. So it was a good week. I love football weeks like this. So
Speaking of people that were supposed to go off, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, man, this guy discount double check screwed me over so bad in multiple leagues. And we need to send this guy back to being the Jeopardy host, man. What do you think? This guy, think he's gonna bounce back this week?
I mean, he's one of those, trust the process type guys. I don't think it's the Last Dance. I commented to you. I didn't think anybody told him that the Last Dance was the tune of Cotton Eye Joe. But I do think he's going to be a bounce back. I don't think it's anything to really worry about right now.
I'm thinking with the Lions this week, we'll kind of see what San Fran did to them and put 41 on them last week. I think hopefully Aaron will come out there. I think everybody should give him one more shot at least this week after that dud he put up week one. And yeah, I think he'll put up a good week for us. And then if he doesn't, I'm going to start making secondary plans, at that position. But
I got Trey Lance if you want him. Just say.
Hey, that's my guy, but I just don't know when he's going to get on the field, man. Garoppolo looked pretty good.
He did see the field. Garoppolo did look fantastic, but yeah.
They did get him out there, yeah. Lance did score. Or threw a touchdown, one of the two. I think he threw a touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going to recap all of week one, run through some games. We'll run through every game, but we're just going to pick out some of the highs and lows and who you should be looking out for this upcoming week two. So we got two segments today. We got the week one review, and then we got ballers or busters today.
I like it.
We'll see who. We got a couple guys we're gonna go through and see if they're still gonna be ballers for the rest of the season, or if we think they're gonna be some busters. So first, we'll jump in here to some recap as I'm loading this up. Dustin, you want to tell everybody, how did you do your first week? Did you end up pulling out a dub?
We ended up pulling out a dub. With all the injuries, I was kind of shocked. Like I said, the people who were supposed to go off heavy-handed didn't really produce for me this week. I had Claypool. I mean, I think he put up close to 10 points, but nothing that he was supposed to. But we ended up pulling a dub. I liked it. It came down to one of the later games. He had 2 players, I had 1, so it was a good week.
Well, I don't know if you want to also join in with me on this link that I put in the script, Dustin, for it'll say CBS Sports, but this is kind of giving us a breakdown here. And the first game it's got here on the docket that we'll recap is that Monday night crazy matchup that went to OT, the Ravens versus the Raiders. And yeah, some of the highlights I'm seeing here. I mean, you got Josh Jacobs got in the end zone twice. Of course, Darren Waller, I think he was targeted 18 times, caught the ball 10 times for a 105 and a touchdown. So, any other highlights or anybody that you saw in that matchup for the Raiders?
I mean, what really stood out to me was Derek Carr. Derek Carr looked like I mean, everybody gives him rap on, he's not a very good quarterback, but he's one of those guys that I think I heard a stat on him a couple years ago that he was one of the top quarterbacks for passes downfield. And with targets like Henry Ruggs and Darren Waller, that's a dangerous guy. I mean, he had 435 yards. 435 yards. Like that's a quarterback. That's not a running, like, in a day and age where a lot of quarterbacks are running. That's a standout quarterback.
Not an easy D to go against either. So I mean,
Right.
I would put Carr up there as possible streamer, and we'll get into matchups on Friday to see what his matchup is. But I think he should be on somebody's radar.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll just throw in Kenyon Drake here too. When he was out there, he looked decent, but for the most part, it was the Josh Jacobs show. So, I think we were talking maybe 50-50 split, 60-40 split. I think it was closer to that 60-40 split for Jacobs. So, no Kenyon Drake taking over that backfield anytime soon, but he pretty much was the third down guy, catching all the passes, and was out there for some design pass plays too. So, other side of the ball, the Ravens. Anything jump out to you, Dustin?
I mean, other than the fact Sammy Watkins put on a show. 4 receptions, almost 100 yards, 96 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but he looked to be Jackson's number 1 target, especially when he was in trouble. But Lamar Jackson, it just kind of seems like there's something off with him this season. Hopefully he breaks out with it, but he just didn't seem like the same player on Monday.
He got off to a slow start last year too. Jackson did, and then he came on late. The last 8 games of the season, he was QB1 or QB2 overall.
Right.
Just counting just that stretch. And Sammy Watkins, man, don't let it fool you. This guy does this every single year, man.
Mm-hmm.
Guy, he thinks he's a reptile. He says he thinks he's some form of a lizard. Like, he talks about all this crazy stuff, and then he comes out every single week, or every single season, week 1, and he throws up this like fake facade, and we think that he's going to be amazing, and everybody buys him on the waiver wire first week, and then this dude busts the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, he's been doing it since he's been in the league. I mean, he did it in Buffalo, did it at Kansas City. Like, it's his MO. But I mean, right now it looks like he's the number 1.
Yeah, just because of Brown, also Hollywood Brown.
Right.
You would think that he could possibly be the number 1 there, but he just can't. Dude can never stay healthy. He wasn't practicing again today, so he's so up and down. But overall, a great game.
Amazing
game to watch.
Yeah.
We'll jump into one that we thought was going to be an amazing game. We thought we were going to have a 50 to 60 points combined here. And we did get over 50 points, but just not how we thought it was. The Cardinals and the Titans, man. We thought this was going to be the shootout game. The Titans were going to put up a ton of points.
I mean, one side was.
One side lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
The other side, not so much. That's where I'll jump in first before we get into the Cardinals side. Or how worried are we about Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, AJ, every single guy that we rely on in fantasy there, nobody showed up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a testament to the Cardinals' defense. I think one of the guys on the Cardinals had like 5 sacks or something. Uh,
Yeah, in the first half, I think. Or no,
yeah,
maybe three in the first half and two in the second. It was crazy.
I mean, you can't fault Tannehill for not getting the ball out when he has one person in his face 5 times in a game. Um, I think it's just a testament to the Cardinals' defense. They played a great game. They held Derrick Henry to under 60 yards, which is a feat in itself. So I think it's just the defense coming to play that game.
Yeah, the coach even called out Julio at the end of the game because of, I guess he got some kind of personal foul penalty that put him in a longer like 3rd and 20 something and put him in the hole and it caused basically they kind of said it was like a turning point of the game like early, but like I was like, dang, this dude's putting Julio on blast. Like this ain't good. Like, but yeah, Henry, seeing him get shut down. I'm not so worried about Henry so much in the long term. I'm more worried about this Julio situation. And then I think AJ's gonna find his role again, but definitely something to keep an eye on. I think if you have Julio, you drafted him, you got to roll him back out there again next week.
Absolutely.
But you don't feel great about it. The other side of the ball, I'm feeling pretty great about some of these guys. Kyler did Kyler Murray things. D Hop did D Hop things. 2 touchdowns. Edmonds looked good. Connor looked pretty decent. They split work. Just Edmonds got receiving work, which got him made him fantasy relevant for the week.
Right.
And we got a waiver wire guy that was out there that everybody had a shot to pick up for this week too, Christian Kirk. What's your feedback on kind of what you saw? If you got the peek at any of the highlights or see the game, or what stood out to you?
I definitely got to see the game. I mean, Kyler's just he's a football player, man. He's one of those like 5 touchdowns. Yes, he did throw an interception, but 5 touchdowns? That's just ridiculous. He can get it done with the legs, get it done with the passing. I was really surprised on the amount that he spread the ball around. And that seemed to, put a good Tennessee defense in shambles. Yeah.
I don't know if like what they were last year. I don't know if they're the same defense anymore. So that's a lot of
Right.
questions that are going up there. Was this just like a 1 week, hiccup? So, we roll on to the game that probably none of us were watching. Jaguars and the and the Texans, which actually the Texans I think surprised a lot of people, and they actually showed up in this game and ended up beating the Jags. Trevor Lawrence got off to that rookie start where you think a lot of rookies would struggle week 1. He did have 3 touchdowns, but he also had 3 interceptions. And then that backfield was really shaky there. It looks like Hyde might kind of they were close on the same amount of carries, probably 50-50 with Robinson.
Right.
But Hyde came out with more yards. DJ Chark kind of shined a little bit. And then I know they had a lot of design plays for Laviska Shenault. I think Marvin Jones got a touchdown too, but it was only he only had 1 or 2 targets or something and came down with the touchdown.
He did. He had it looks like 9 targets, 5 receptions.
Oh, okay. Well, he caught more than what I thought he did. So, you think you want to comment on the Jags side, or we roll on to the Texans?
I mean, it's good to see both. These are both teams that are kind of swimming at the bottom of the barrel in a stacked NFL talent league, and it's good to see both of them. The Texans obviously are a little bit lower than the Jags, but they came out and showed that the underdog can still take it. So
I think Tyrod Taylor should be on people's radar for possible streamers in 12-plus team leagues if he keeps doing what he's doing. And then Mark Ingram, just kind of be weary about what you saw there. He had to touch the ball 26 attempts to get to 85 yards on that touchdown. But if they're going to be ahead in games like they were this one, they're going to keep giving him the work like that, and you know he'll keep putting up numbers like that. But Brandon Cooks, looks pretty good stat line there with the yardage that he put up. Yeah, kind of like a little bit of things we saw from Texans. I think there might be some fantasy assets there, but just let it kind of be fool's gold. I think we need to see it for another week and see
Absolutely.
what happens. We'll jump to the Chargers and the WFT team, Washington football team. Washington football team did lose to the Chargers 20-16. Kind of an ugly game. Fitzmagic got hurt. He's on IR now. Hip injury, kind of looked like what Tua had. That same kind of injury he had with Bama back in his college days. What did you gauge from the Washington side?
I would hate to be in the Washington, like they're sitting there like some alternate ego, like, can you please stop hurting our quarterbacks? Can we have like one healthy season for our quarterbacks? Yeah, they're like, we even went with Fitzmagic this year. Like, we didn't start out roll a starter out there or anything. We went with Fitzmagic. But it's tough to see. I mean, they did put up a fight against a talented Chargers offense. They kind of got off to a rocky start, but there in the second half, they kind of started putting together the plays that they weren't putting up Justin Herbert's first year, the ones that'll win them games. So it was a pretty tight race, but I liked it. It was a good game.
Yeah, I think the whole Fitzmagic getting injured, like through a loop, and kind of, that's what they were game planning for. Washington was game planning for him to, of course, be their quarterback. So it took a little while. McLaurin kind of got going a little bit in the second half. Gibson, 20 attempts, 90 yards. Didn't get the end zone, but did catch some balls too. He's perfectly fine. I think you're still going to be okay with Gibson. And then I think if Heineke, we just got to see. I think that he's going to be the starter for them for a good couple of weeks here, and unless they bring in somebody else in. So it's kind of what we thought McLaurin might have a top 5 wide receiver season. We're start seeing if that's gonna come to fruition or not these next couple of weeks with this backup quarterback. But the Chargers side, Allen came through. He just didn't get the touchdown for you, but the yardage is there. And then I saw him take a couple shots at him in the end zone, so that's a good sign. He's getting the targets there. Herbert looked, pretty decent. I think he still has a lot more that he can still provide. It's a new coach, a new offensive system too, so they're all getting acclimated to that. And then Eckler, if I had the warning with the siren going off, this would be my warning to everybody here about Eckler. Last year and the years before, where Eckler had a lot of success, would catch a lot of the balls. Like back when Melvin Gordon was there, Eckler was the third down back. First week, Eckler didn't get a single target, not a single pass thrown his way. New coach there, and what it's been there. Just watch out for that, guys. Like, it could be you're just going off of Eckler's strictly running attempts and then not touching the ball like in the passing game. That's not what we were picking him in the first round for the end of the first round. We were hoping he was an all-around back. So
that's where my wearies kind of set is. I mean, Justin Jackson beat him out on targets, and that's like you said. If you're drafting Eckler, you want to see that screen to the sideline. That's what you want. So not definitely new coach. Maybe they haven't got to that portion of the playbook yet, but they're holding off that for the Super Bowl.
Next game, Bengals versus Vikings, and we'll jump to the Bengals first. Ja'Marr Chase learned how to catch an NFL football real quick. Dude balled 5 receptions, 101 for a touchdown. And this is a real quick crazy stat. This is the first time ever in history that every single wide receiver that was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft caught a touchdown week 1. So all the guys balled.
Interesting.
Got drafted in the first round, so it was pretty cool. Joe Mixon. He looked amazing. They gave him the ball almost 30 times. He's catching the ball, running the ball. He put up a great game. And then I think Burrow, once he got kind of those jitters after the first quarter or 2 quarters, he started opening up more, and yeah, he looked a lot better too. What was your gauge on the Bengals?
I mean, they played a really good football team, really good football game too. I mean, Joe Burrow's, like you mentioned, he kind of, everybody was worried about him coming back from that injury, and he kind of just settled into the role, and it kind of felt like when we were watching him back in LSU, like he just controlled the game, which was really good to see.
T. Higgins still got in the end zone, I believe, for a touchdown, but your main guy was Chase. So, I mean, if you drafted T. Higgins, I would hang on to him for at least a little bit longer. I would be more worried if he had Tyler Boyd. That's where I would be pretty scared. He didn't get a lot of what we were looking for. Like, he needs volume. He needs catches. He's not a guy that's going to score a lot, make his fantasy day.
Yeah.
Coming over to the Viking side real quick, Kirk Cousins, he can't say that. Do you like that? Then he does, because they lost. So I didn't have to hear that annoying thing. But Alvin Cook, 20 attempts, 61 yards, a touchdown. I think he caught a couple passes. I think he put the ball on the ground, though, once or twice. I know he did at the end of the game, towards the end, and that's what gave the Bengals the ball back, and they ended up winning the game off of it.
Right.
That's a tough break there. I think he still ended up with 16 points in our league, which is half point PPR. And then Thielen, I start of the week.
Yep, you tank it to the bank. You did.
It to the bank, and I even called 2 touchdowns too. I was like, really fun. I should have went to Vegas after I saw him score those 2 touchdowns.
You had a Thielen.
I was hooked on a Thielen on that one. And then Justin Jefferson, didn't get what we thought he was going to get. I think he still got over 10 fantasy points, but it was ugly trying to get there. I think his stat line was something like 5 or 6 receptions on 50, 60 yards.
Yeah. 9 targets, 5 receptions, 71 yards.
Yeah. What's your overall feeling about the Vikes and some of the guys? Anybody stand out to you?
I mean, obviously Cook, he's one of those end of the season backs. They really turn it on second half of the season, kind of like Zeke and Henry. I mean, I'm not too. It's week 1. I mean, this is a good start. You would love to see your players come out and just dominate. But usually, it takes a minute to get it rolling, get back into the feel of things, get back into. This is a game. This is, a regular season game. So,
Life.
yeah, it is week 1, but, nothing really. I'm not selling if I have any of those players. Justin Jefferson, Thielen, Cooks, I'm not selling.
Yeah, definitely. One note before we move on, that once they lost Irv Smith Jr., we didn't know what they were going to kind of do with their offensive package, and they ran more 3 wide receivers last week, 11 personnel, and so I think that's where you saw Thielen shine a lot, and then Jefferson's going to, of course, that puts them out on the field both a lot more together, and then just I don't think Kirk Cousins can support a third guy, but just more opportunity. They should be out there more. So we'll see what happens if another tight end does end up making his way, like any kind of relevance there, and maybe they'll start going back to using more dual tight ends like they used to there. But so kind of a good sign for the wide receivers.
Yeah, definitely.
Jets versus Panthers. Panthers did beat the Jets 19-14. An ugly game. Not ugly if you're Christian McCaffrey, because this dude still balled out and was number 1 in fantasy for the week and didn't even score a touchdown. That's why he was the number 1 overall pick this year, guys. As a beast. He's a monster.
He is. I mean, I don't. Way too early to tell, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is some sort of player of the year this year. Maybe comeback player of the year. But he's looking scary. Almost as scary as Sam Darnold being the quarterback.
What happened with? I think Craig was like all over him like last Friday, talking Sam Darnold up. That might have been one of Craig's rare misses there. But we'll see. The jury's still out on that. But
Yep.
yeah, McCaffrey led him in receiving receptions and led him in rushing yards of the team. So, where DJ Moore, I think he still did fine. So you're good there. Worry was Robbie Anderson. People should start to worry because McCaffrey was out last year. Robbie Anderson was getting a lot of these catches, a lot of the love, and he became more of a PPR kind of machine there, and he kind of reverted back to the old role that he was with Sam Darnold. Now, I know you mentioned how they played together with the Jets last Friday. That's the role it looked like, and if he didn't catch that touchdown bomb this game, he would have had a terrible fantasy day.
Yeah.
So that saved his day.
He may be a feast or famine this year. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on it, but it's looking like that.
On the other side of the ball, the Jets, anything we can highlight, or was it just bad, Dustin?
I mean, for what it is, if Zach Wilson looked pretty good, avoiding a pretty decent Carolina defense, Carolina front four, front seven. I think he did pretty well. He did throw an interception, but coming off the board with 22 fantasy points, that's not bad for a rookie.
For his first ever start, yeah. And then Corey Davis, I mean, you gotta love the usage he got there. Craig's ride or die.
Yep.
But he got a late touchdown at the end of the game there, which I think the game was out of reach at that point when they got that late TD. But so he got you an extra one there, and then we got to remember though, Crowder wasn't playing, who's usually kind of a PPR monster. And then I think they were missing another wide receiver for this game that should be back next week. So I think Davis is still going to get the work. He's still the number one for sure. But
Absolutely.
Gotta watch out. Yeah, there could eat into some of his, but I think Zach Wilson's only going to get better as the season goes on too. So
I agree.
Eagles versus Falcons. This was not a good game. I thought this could possibly be another high-scoring game. It was for one side, not the other.
Yeah.
Start off with the negative side here of the Falcons. Can we take anything away from this game that looked?
I mean, the key thing I took was, we kind of joked about, especially in the preseason, that Cordell Patterson was kind of, the role switcher and, wasn't going to play a big role in the rushing offense, and he led the team this week with yards on 7 attempts. Mike Davis had 15 attempts for 49 yards. So just something to kind of be aware of. Kyle Pitts didn't do bad.
He had a lot of targets, but yeah, he just, it's his first game as an NFL player too, so maybe just a little rust.
Right.
And into the groove. Ridley came, I think 4 of his 5 catches came in the first drive of the game, or the first 2 drives of the game, so he got them real quick, and then after that, you hear nothing about him really the rest of the game.
Well, that's funny. He was targeted 8 times, caught 4 of those. So that was his game, was the first quarter, first drive.
So I think we're going to see better out of this offense over the next couple weeks, so I wouldn't be starting Matt Ryan in your lineup by any means, but still lean on Mike Davis. You got to give him another shot.
Absolutely.
Ridley, of course. Ridley was was drafted in the second round in most drafts. So, and then Kyle Pitts, I think it's just a learning curve, and he's getting the targets already, so that's good. Targets equal opportunity.
Right.
So that means that somebody trusts something in you, that they're going to throw the ball to you that many times. So they'll eventually turn into more catches and touchdowns and all that fun stuff. But Dustin, you got to hold me back for this one. I'm going to lose it over here. My boy for the Eagles, He did it. Whenever I saw him catch that beautiful touchdown, I sent that text message so fast to Craig. And I said, did you see? He's like, see what? I'm like, you saw.
It was a blur.
I think
Yeah, I mean, leading the league in targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns. I mean, it was, or leading the team.
Yeah.
I think he looks good this year. Another one who looks good, who was my ride or die this week, was Jalen Hurts. He looks really good.
That's right. I forgot about Mr. Hurts. So that was a great call. I don't know how he finished on the pecking order for the week as far as QB finishes for fantasy, but my guess is he was top 5 because of his rushing, his yards that he put up passing, and his 3 touchdowns. Like, dude put together a game, and I've been trying to trade for him ever since Sunday because I want this guy on my team.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a great year. Then Miles Sanders, he looked pretty good to me. When I got to watch some of the game, I know he didn't break the 100 yards rushing, but the attempts he got, he looked good. He looked like he was moving well. I think they even targeted him a couple times too in the passing game. So all around, I would keep, if you have Jalen Rager on your team, I would definitely hold on to him for a couple more weeks, see what you get there. I think he found the end zone late.
He did.
And was second in the team in targets possibly. And then Goddard also got in the end zone in that game too.
Yep.
So Goddard, most people were starting him, so that was a good start. But with that, he's just in that tight end range where he's going to be dependent upon that touchdown to probably make his week. But, one real quick on that, Zach Ertz, who a lot of people were scared of, might take away work from Goddard, did get hurt in that game, is not practicing this week. So that might open up the door even more for Goddard in the next couple weeks. But roll on. The Steelers and the Bills. Great game, actually. The Steelers got behind early, ended up coming back and winning the game 23-16. Dustin, anything jump out at you that you didn't think was going to happen as far as the usual fantasy suspects here?
I mean, Jared Allen was kind of a shock to me. He was missing passes that I didn't really feel like he should be missing. But I mean, it is week 1. Buffalo just didn't really show up for their fans as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they got comfortable with the lead going into the half, but I mean, they only had 10-point leads, so I don't know.
Maybe they should have been jumping through the tables like all their fans did before the game.
Right.
On a note for Buffalo, I think one of us had mentioned it on Fridays. Devin Singletary looked great during preseason. I know it's preseason, but it did translate over into the game. If you got to watch a little bit of it, he was moving good. He was pretty much the only guy out there. And Zach Moss, who we thought his backup was going to be, was a healthy scratch for the game. And when they were asked about it after the game, the coach said Matt Breida, who they had as their number 2 instead of Moss, just performed him during the preseason, I guess, and that's why they rolled with him. So that gave some big relief there for Singletary, and you could see he got most of the work. Then at one point they just got behind where they had to kind of abandon some of the run, but he did look good while he was running. Stephon Diggs at 9 receptions. It's usually not going to come down with just 70 yards on 9 receptions. Usually that's going to top him over 100. Better days are coming for Diggs.
Not much after that. Cole Beasley, 8 receptions, 60 yards. Manuel Sanders, 4 receptions, 52. But nothing really. Singletary did get targeted 5 times, so.
Another good thing, yep.
Absolutely.
I think if Singletary would be a good, if you can go get him on the cheap still, that'd be good. But I don't know if you can, if people are really believing in him. Roethlisberger didn't put up the yards like he was doing last year, at least not for week 1. Probably a good thing. The Steelers don't want him chunking the ball 40, 50 times like he was last year every game. Harris got the work, got the carries, but yards weren't there. But let's just chalk it up to he got every single touch, I believe, in the backfield. Great sign. And the yards will be there. He just kind of got bottled up this game. It's a tough Buffalo D. And then I believe Devontae Johnson, is that how you say his name? Deontay Johnson
Yep.
was the leading receiver, right? He got the touchdown.
He did 10 targets.
Yeah, so Deontay Johnson, you know, we were kind of up in the air. We didn't know if it was going to be Claypool this year. Juju, Deontay, they all got drafted around that same area. Week 1, we'll give the nod to Deontay, and we'll keep an eye on the whole situation. I would be more worried if I was the Juju owner. Dustin, you're the Claypool owner. I would not be as concerned.
Right.
Claypool, I think, is going to get his opportunities, and they're going to design stuff for him, wide receiver screens, and they do like end-around handoffs to him and stuff like that. So
He actually did have one attempt for 25 yards. So.
oh yeah, that helps. That
Yep.
helps.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
help salvage a little bit of his day there. You know, got him. That right there was 2.5 fantasy points. So
Yep.
keep rolling as we don't want to take up too much y'all's time. Then I got Seahawks versus the Colts. Seahawks pretty much dominated this game. I mean, I know the score looks a little closer than what, you know, a 2-touchdown game, but when I was watching, it wasn't even close at all. Russell Wilson was throwing bombs.
He was.
2 of those bombs to Tyler Lockett, and they were sick. I wish they were to DK Metcalf because I was playing him, but DK did sneak one in the end zone late.
He did. I
Other
mean,
guy
when
that-
you're rolling 4 touchdowns deep, you know, pretty much everybody gets a taste. So my guy Jared Everett caught one of the touchdowns.
Yes,
So
that was a good call. You did call him on Friday. You did point him out, you know, to watch out. And he would be a guy that if your waivers have already gone through, or if you still get a chance to put in your waivers tonight still, that would be a guy to look out for to pick up if you're struggling at tight end. If you don't like who you ran out tight end this last week.
Right.
I think that'd be a good option. Chris Carson looked really good.
he did.
Very fluid. Rashad Penny also got hurt, so there's his backup went down, so that's probably going to be more work for Carson.
With
other side of the
how
ball, Col-
with how good
Okay.
he looked, though, I drafted Rashad Penny, and I won't be holding on to him. Chris Carson just looks that good this year. So, I mean, 16 touches, 91 yards. Can't really beat that.
and he looked good when he was touching the ball too. Like you can just tell sometimes how well they're moving and
Right.
just how quick they look, and he looked really good. Colts side of the ball. Do we have anything we can kind of pull out of this game? I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor's stat line. I like that. I mean, not that it took him 17 attempts. He only got 56 yards, but he caught 6 balls for 60 yards, and that saved his day there.
Yeah, especially if you're in a full point PPR league, he's a big one for you. I think my biggest takeaway was actually Wentz. You know, we kind of joke a lot with us being Cowboys fans and him being
Or Wentz.
the Wentz. But he looked fairly decent. You know, especially with the questions around the injury, they didn't even know if he was starting week 1. He looked really good.
Yeah, I think both touchdowns went to Zach Pascal, who would be a good if you nobody
Waiver
picked
wire,
him up on
yeah.
waivers. Yeah, that would be a good one to swing at, just to kind of take probably one that you don't have to pay a lot of money for to get, that you can scoop up and just take a shot at. 49ers and Lions, crazy game. 49ers were up by like 20 points in the fourth quarter, and here comes the Lions like making onside kicks and coming back, and scared old Kyle Shanahan a little bit there for the Niners. But
Mike,
Garoppolo, I think. Oh, go ahead.
my question was, where was this Goff when he was with the Rams? Like, he looked amazing. I would at one point in the game, I was like, who is their quarterback? Like, they replaced Goff's jersey on Stafford or something. They just flew him in for.
Yeah, if you have T.J. Hawkinson, I mean, from what I was watching that game, and it seemed like more than 8 receptions this dude got, and I don't even know how many targets it was, but they were that's the guy he was looking at every single time. Even though he only came away with one of the touchdowns, I think T.J. Hawkinson, if you draft him in the 7th, 8th round, wherever you took him at, I mean, he's looking to be a top 5 tight end this year. Jonathan Williams and DeAndre Swift, they split pretty much the work. Right now, that's kind of a 50-50 thing. Swift's still got an injury that they're kind of nursing him back a little bit on. So I think you could still start both right now, just depending on the matchup for next week.
Yeah, I
We'll get into
mean,
that
they
one.
are about 50-50, both with reception or rushing and receptions.
Yes.
So they pretty much even out. So either one of them, depending on the matchup, should be a pretty safe bet.
Who would have known that this game would have probably been I think it ended up being the high scoring game of the week. Like over 74 points combined. Like that's nobody would have called that one. Everybody thought the Niners would win, of course, but
Absolutely.
not this high scoring. On the Niners side, we did have an injury, and now we got news yesterday. He is out for the season. Raheem Mostert came out and gave you 2 runs, and he said, "See you later.
Mhm.
I'm out of here now." He hurt his knee, and they decided that they were gonna have a procedure on it yesterday, and so he's out for the season. Trey Sermon was a surprise inactive, the guy who they drafted this year. It was I might say his name wrong here. Do you know his first name? Last
Elijah?
name Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell. He was balling when he was out there. I mean, he had some good runs. And then Garoppolo looked decent, and then Debo was tearing it up, almost got 200 yards. Key that I saw, and then I'll let you jump in here, Dustin, was Brandon Ayuk, where everybody drafted him. You drafted him in the first 10 rounds for sure. This dude came out and got 0, and some people kind of threw him out there in their flex this week as a starter. He's not the Ayuk role that he had leaving last year, where he was, doing really well. The coach kind of threw some shade at him at the end of the game, saying you got to be better than the guys and these other guys. So it looks like he's kind of in the doghouse right now. But anything else jump out at you, Dustin?
I mean,
From the 49ers side?
I played against Ayuk, so I was happy about that. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen going forward. I think the surprise of the week was, Trey Sermons. And, the fact that we got to see Trey Lance on there, they were definitely designed plays for him. But I do like the fact that they ran him out there. The other thing I'd have to say is it is hard to pick a running back in the 49ers offense, because it is very much the last couple years had just been the next man up.
Yep.
Whoever's hot, that's who we're going with. It doesn't matter if we are starting Todd Gurley or some 7th round pick we've never heard of. It's just the next man up, and they open so many holes that it doesn't really matter.
Just to kind of prepare people, I think Trey Sermon will be active this week, not only because Mostert's out, but the only reason phrase this the right way, he was inactive because he doesn't play special teams. The other 2 running backs that were behind Raheem Mostert, they play special teams, and they're valuable and that asset to them too. Now Trey Sermon will be active, and I hope people didn't go too crazy. I know this guy was the number 1 waiver wire pickup, Elijah Mitchell. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Elijah. Because I think a lot of people could have a heartbreak, like you were mentioning, Dustin. This backfield's always crazy, and then now you got Trey Sermon, who could jump right back in and be the number 1 now.
Right.
And so they might be splitting work, or he might have majority of the work. But just keep an eye out on that, and we roll on to the Chiefs and the Browns. Great game.
This was a good game.
This was a good game. This is why Tony Romo called it here in Jim Nance. This was the game of the week here. The Browns got out to an early lead. Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things and came back. Dustin, throw us down on some highlights here. What did you? What stood out to you, other than the Chiefs being the Chiefs?
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, the Chiefs being the Chiefs. Between Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce accounted for 2 of the touchdowns, Tyreek Hill for the other, but almost had 200 yards. It's just good seeing, these are the games, they almost feel like they're in full form right now. They feel like they're going into the Super Bowl next weekend. And honestly, both them and the Browns felt like that. There wasn't very many mistakes. It was a good football game.
Why? Even though the year that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they always like seem to find themselves like behind, even if it's by 7 or 10, whatever it was throughout some point of the game. It's like they enjoy coming back.
Yeah.
It's to show people like we can do it. But Tyreek Hill, man, I played against him and lost in the league. It's like he was sitting already like at receptions and like 150 yards. I was like, oh, this already hurts really bad. And then it's
And
like,
he gave you them deuces.
towards the touchdown towards the end, yeah, and I'm like, thank you, I'll have another. Thank you so much for that. But positive things, man. If you have Hill, you have Travis Kelce, they look like they're back, and Patrick Mahomes, of course, they're back to their usual, what they've been giving you the last couple years. And then CH, I don't think there's too much worry there. I think he's going to get more of a groove these next couple weeks. They just had to come from behind in this game. And then on the other side of the ball with the Browns, I think Baker Mayfield looked pretty good. He managed the game. Chubb looked great, 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt looked great. He was out there catching balls and running too. He also got in the end zone. And then Odell was a scratch in this game, guys. He's still not 100% from the ACL repair from last year. So, and he's also been ruled out for this coming up week 2. So just a heads up. Dustin, anything else on the Browns side of the ball that you saw?
So the Browns, number one, like you said, OBJ isn't in the mix-up right now, but their number one was David Njoku. So that is something just to keep an eye out if you are on the lookout for a tight end. He is a younger guy. He was supposed to produce, and he never really did. Is this the beginning? If he turns it on this year, he had 3 receptions for 76 yards. If he gets in the touchdown, that's easily a 15-point game, 15-point day. So, I'm not too big on him, not saying jump on him. I'm just saying watch him.
Yeah, and I know you'll know what I refer to when I talk about this. I don't know a lot of people know, but there's Spark Athletes. A lot of they use it coming out of college. It's like a grading system kind of, and Njoku was actually pretty highly rated coming out on that system or in that Spark grade that they give. So that's just pure athleticism, like that grade. So yeah, he's got the talent. So maybe he can start putting it together. Next game, Broncos versus Giants. Broncos 27, Giants 13. Never was a game. On the Giants side, Daniel Jones looked Daniel Jones-ish, doing his usual thing, throwing interceptions, fumbling the ball. He did lead the team in rushing. Not good for Saquon Barkley, who we knew that they were going to ease back. We kind of got some heads up on that going into the game. Only bright spot I saw on the Giants side of the ball was Sterling Shepard. What about you, Dustin? Sterling Shepard is out there on the wire too, guys. Or if he might have been a waiver wire pickup this week, but that's a good guy to stash on your bench.
Absolutely. I did like the amount of targets that they did give Saquon Barkley. If you did draft him, first 2 rounds, it is good to see that trust in him. They are starting out small. That's another thing to keep in mind. So when he does get back to his normal pace, he should be putting up top 5 running back numbers.
Galladay, I think you're not going to drop him, of course. They paid him a lot of money. You spend a top 10 pick on him, or in the top 10 rounds on him. So you got to ride with him for a couple more weeks. Let's see what happens. On the other side of the ball, man, Gordon. I was seeing one of the guys I was in a matchup with, and I was like, freaking Aaron Rodgers, man. This guy killed me. I have no chance against anybody. And then Gordon at the end of the game busts the 70-yard run or whatever and saves, or at least gives me hope in that league. Gordon's stat line looks a little bit more than what it was most of the game. He probably would have ended up with 30, 40 yards if it wasn't for that big run there at the end. But him and Javonte pretty much split work. What'd you think about Bridgewater? What'd you think about the wide receivers, Dustin?
I mean, Bridgewater looked really good. I remember one play. I think it was one of the touchdown. It may have been the touchdown, but he like went to the defender and like stiff armed him to stay out on his feet and out of a sack. Like he looked good. I don't know if that work in the Saints paid off for him, but he looks like a starting quarterback. So I'm excited to see, Denver with a competent quarterback. So yeah.
Yeah, they did take a big hit. Judy, what I thought when I was watching live looked like a broken ankle, but it was actually ended up being a high ankle sprain. Thank goodness for him. Even though that's just as painful. So he's out 6 to 8 weeks.
Right. Fant, except for Judy. Judy was the number one. Fant was the number two. They're looking to go to Fant quite a bit. KJ Hamler, and one of the big pickups this week too is I believe it's Tim Patrick.
Yes, yeah. So if Cortland Sutton's not 100% still coming back from this ACL tear and it takes him more time, KJ Hamler you could pick up him or Tim Patrick. Like, you start taking your shot at either one because they both were undrafted. I took my shot at KJ and people like Tim Patrick because he did a lot, like kind of at the end of last year. He looked pretty good. So kind of just pick your poison with either one of them. If you got the room to put them both on your team, see which one hits. But I think this offense is going to, with Judy out, there's somebody else that's going to shine. Maybe Sutton will step up, but Fant is definitely huge. If we don't ever want injury on anybody, but this
Absolutely.
injury opened up a big door for Fant. Like, he should get even more targets now.
Yep.
Oh man, this one's gonna be tough. I have to let you take a lead on this one, Dustin. Packers versus Saints.
Packers and Saints. I guess we'll go the bad here first. Aaron Rodgers and the Saints. I don't know. Throwing 2 picks, his fantasy football stats, I think he finished with 1 point. Just didn't look like their last dance material. Hopefully they can get it together. Josh Love looked pretty good, 5 for 7, 68. But, I still don't think, they're playing the Saints. Technically it was a away game, even though it got moved because of the hurricanes. They were playing in Jacksonville this week, but it was Saints home field. So I don't think this is a sell on the Packers. I think they're going to turn around. He's going to put on his discount double check belt, and hopefully he'll be able to turn this around. I don't think this is a terrible, they just had an off day.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Take this game, throw it out the door, act like you never saw it from the Packers, because guess what gift is lying right behind you? It's the Detroit Lions next week. So that's your chance to rebound if you're an Aaron Jones owner, Aaron Rodgers owner, Devontae Adams owner, Robert Tonyan owner, like any of these guys that disappointed you week one. The Saints, they went marching right into Jacksonville, and Jameis, I think this might have been a record, or it was the first time it's been done in a long time. On 148 passing yards, he had 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
Crazy. Kamara looked great. He put up a great stat line too. Who was the wide receiver that? I think Jameis was just spreading the ball around, right? I know that tight end. You might have picked him up, right, Justin? Did you pick him up?
So he's my boy from Oregon. He actually transferred in. Oregon usually does smaller receivers, 6'1", 6'2". This dude, I believe, was 6'5" when he was in Oregon. He transferred in from Penn State. and I believe he's 6'4", 6'5". Jawan Johnson, and when he got drafted, he switched from a wide receiver to tight end, and it seems to be paying off.
He did play wide receiver for him last year, but yeah, I think the payoff is looking like it. He's switching over to tight end was huge. I know he got 2 of them. Kamara might have ran one in. I'm not sure where the other. Oh, he couldn't have ran. There's 5 touchdowns that James came. Harris got one. I see. But
Harris got one. Chris Hogan got another, and Alvin Kamara got one.
Jameis was just spreading around the rock. So, I think the Johnson guy at tight end. I think that's the name to look out for right now. None of the other wide receivers. I think we need to see a little bit more before we take a dive on any of them. And then Callaway didn't have the game that we were expecting him to. With no Michael Thomas there, but I think you hang on to him for another couple more weeks and see what happens. He might become more of a target from Jameis, especially when they're going to need to throw the ball more because they're not going to be beating everybody 38-0 or 38-3 most games.
I think this. I love games like this because a couple weeks ago we were discussing if Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill was going to be the starter. And, looking back on how Jameis played this week, I can. When he needed to pull it down and run with it, he did. There were a couple design plays for Taysom Hill, but there always is. So, I don't think it's anything to worry about.
No. I think if Jameis is still out there on your waiver wires, go get him. I don't think he'll be there anymore, but if he is, go get him.
Christmas present.
Yeah. Dolphins versus Patriots.
This was a really good game if you didn't watch it.
And a surprise to a lot of people that the Dolphins won. I was saying on Friday that watch out for Tua and the Dolphins in general, like more long term. I didn't think that they were going to pull this week 1, but I think just Dolphins side of the ball real quick. Tua looked good. Like if you were looking to see the difference from last year, now I think he looked a lot better movement wise from that injury from college with the hip injury, off the hip surgery, and then I think last year he just wasn't really running. He wasn't really moving very well. He actually was running the ball in this game too. Got a couple of runs in. What was your take on the Dolphins side of the ball?
The Dolphins looked good. I mean, they stuck it to the Patriots. A lot of people were having questions about Myles Gaskin. I thought he looked pretty good for what he ran. He only touched the ball 9 times, but I mean, he looked good. My kind of surprise was Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle came to play. He scored the touchdown, 4 receptions, 61 yards. Obviously Devontae Parker is still in the mix, but Myles Gaskin is also in there with 5 receptions. So they looked good.
These rookie first-round wide receivers, man, they all score touchdowns. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Waddle got in there too. Like so that receiving core, nobody came out and just like leading and dominating. It looks like Waddle might be the guy, but it's a lot of mouths to feed there.
He did spread the ball around quite a bit, and very well. So
on the other side, Matt Jones, I didn't think he looked terrible. I don't think he looked great either. I think, he's a rookie. It's his first game. He's playing for the Patriots. It's a lot of nerves. Harris did look good. I saw him touching the ball. I think he did put the ball on the ground once or twice or something, but
twice.
If it wasn't that, it was twice?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll get you in trouble with Belichick pretty quick, but I think hopefully we'll see next week. He's still getting the rock. So if you got him in the later, I think he was going 8th, 9th rounds of drafts. I mean, looks like a pretty good win so far. We're seeing anything on the wide receiver side or tight end side?
Nelson Aguilar, they picked him up for a reason, and I think they're showing that. James White, he's always in the mix for the receiving portion of it. Myers, They all looked good. I will say for Mac Jones, he's the almost quintessential Patriots quarterback. Like he looked like a good, efficient quarterback. And
Yeah.
that's Tom Brady kind of started there. So I think Belichick's happy with, they probably wish they could have got the win, but he did a really efficient and good job spreading the ball around.
And just real quick before we move on, I think that tight end situation, Jonnu Smith, I think might have caught the most balls of the two between him and Hunter Henry, but that situation I think is still up in the air. Like, it's kind of risky to start either which one. You got to kind of, I think if one were to go down and the other one were there, that person is a top 10 tight end. But you just right now, with they're both being there, they're running two tight end sets. You just don't know who to play.
Right. I think it's worth the note. Both Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry brought in every one of their targets. Jonnu Smith 5 for 5, 42. Hunter Henry 3 for 3 for 31. So I mean, I'm big on percentages and a tight end who can catch every ball coming his way. Like you said, if one of them goes down, that's a top 10 tight end.
We got two more games left here. We got the Sunday night game, the Rams versus the Bears. Rams end up winning 34-14. Really wasn't much of a game. Stafford came out just all in. I think he threw a big-time touchdown to Vance Jefferson pretty much right out the gate. And he was setting the tone. He's I'm here, and this is I'm the king of LA.
Absolutely.
Justin Herbert, I'm the guy here in LA. But I think Kupp, of course, looked amazing. He looked like they had mentioned that he eats breakfast with Matthew Stafford. I was like, why didn't we know about this before?
Exactly.
Like, you eating breakfast with somebody, you're getting a hookup. Robert Woods wishes he was eating breakfast because I think he did sneak in a touchdown late, but he just definitely wasn't getting the love that Kupp was.
In fact, Matthew Stafford 20 for 26, 321, 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp had 10 targets. 50% of Matthew Stafford's volume is going to Cooper Kupp.
And a couple of those were actually designed too, like screens and stuff too, so that was nice. Another one that jumped out to me, Henderson, I think he salvaged his day there with the late touchdown. He looked decent, no worries there. He was getting all the love. I think Sony Michel was only out there for like 3 snaps. But Higbee, I think if you're looking and you got Higbee in the late rounds, I mean they were having design screens for him too. He was getting some love. I liked when he was touching the ball. He looked good.
He did.
You want to break down the Bears, sir? Or you're like, please don't. Please move on.
I mean, is upset of a game it was. I mean, the Bears didn't look terrible. Other than Andy Dalton, they did trout out Justin Fields for a couple plays.
Yeah.
David Montgomery looked amazing. Every time he was touching the ball, it was for 7-8 yards. He looked great.
Yeah, that's I had tried to already make a couple trades for him this week. Yeah, I think he looked amazing out there. He was like he was shot out of a cannon every time he touched the ball.
Absolutely.
He just had good, quick movement. He was getting in and out of touches. So great news there. If you played A-Rob, Allen Robinson, he was matched up on Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey's probably shadowing him about 70% of that game.
Nope.
So Jalen Ramsey shuts down everybody, so don't feel bad. You drafted Allen Robinson in the first 4 rounds for a reason. You got to run him back out there and stick with him. And I think better days are ahead there. And then we might see Justin Fields here soon too, so that might can help him out too if Fields catches on here pretty quick.
I was telling my son the thing that surprised me. I'm big on David Montgomery. I have him in our league, but he was running full bore directly at Aaron Donald. I have never seen a running back do that. Like, he was, where is Aaron Donald on the field? That's where I'm going to go.
Trying to set a tone, I guess. Trying to be a tone setter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then a lot of you guys, I mean, this game might seem like it was forever ago, but the Thursday night kickoff game last week, Cowboys versus Buccaneers, break this one down real quick. A lot of points were scored, back and forth. Great game.
Fantastic
Broncos
game.
winning on a game-winning kick. There's a bunch of highlights here, guys. I mean, a lot of people already know what happened.
I think the key thing to take away from this is you can't give Tom Brady 2 minutes at the end of the game. You can't do it. Both the quarterbacks balled out. It was almost strictly a passing exhibit from both sides. So it was good to see Dak Prescott coming back from the injury. He looked really good. I feel like the interception wasn't really his fault. Tom Brady throwing 2 of his own, not much of a running game, and everybody really looked good. Gronk coming away with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And we talked about this game this past Friday, guys. Go back to that video if you want to know a little bit more. We just briefly touched on it there and briefly touched on it here. Antonio Brown looked great. Both your quarterbacks looked great in that matchup. Zeke, I think there's going to be more coming for him soon. It was just they're not running up against that that defensive line of Tampa Bay. I mean, that's just a tough get there.
Especially with one of your big name linemen out for the week. Not going to happen.
Yeah. And then Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb look great. Even Gallup looked really good too, but Gallup unfortunately is hurt, so he might miss a little bit of time. I think they said maybe 3 weeks or something. So big push up even more for Cooper and for Lamb. Evans, I guess we'll talk about Evans real quick. That's the unfortunate thing about having guys like Gronk, Godwin, Antonio Brown, like all these guys, all these mouths to feed. Like every week, there's probably going to be one guy that's going to be the odd man out. Maybe if they would have put up 40, he would have been the other guy that got the other touchdown. But I think Evans, you drafted him high, you got to stick with him. If we see this happening for a couple more weeks, then we start trying to bait or having to bench him or something. So to be determined there. Our last segment, guys, and this one we got about 5-10 minutes left here of our show. We got our premiere of Ballers or Busters. So Dustin, I'm gonna throw a name at you.
All right.
You let me know if the rest of the season he's gonna be a baller or a buster. And that's Elijah Mitchell of the 49ers. He rushed for 41 yards on 19 carries. Boatster's out for the whole season now. Baller or buster?
I think he's a baller until he turns into a buster. I know that's not the game.
You're cheating.
He's not here. I have to. I think the next couple weeks it's going to be Mitchell's game until somebody comes along like Trey Sermons or maybe even Trey Lance. They roll him out there. He takes part of the running game. But I think, the next couple weeks, Elijah Mitchell's a good pickup. Go get him on the waiver wire if you can. If, you're playing him, I'm sorry. But he looks to be a baller for the next couple weeks.
I think this guy's a buster because of what we talked about earlier. I hate if everybody who've ever paid as much money as they did for their fab budget on this guy this week on the waiver wire because it's going to be too – I don't want nothing to do with the 49ers running back situation. It's going to be too rocky. It's going to be Sermon. It's going to be him. Like, I think there could be weeks where he gets most of the run or gets the touchdown, and so he has a better stat line. But I think overall, you're going to look back at the end of the year and be like, man, I shouldn't have spent $300 of my $500 of fab on this dude week one. But
it's kind of funny. Our fab, it's my first fab league.
Yeah.
And, I was like $50. Elijah Mitchell, there's no way $50. Somebody
What was
bought
it? Two something. I know it was two something.
two 256 or something like that, and I was like, oh, you can have them.
Right.
I'm not spending that.
Saquon Barkley. Can he have value this season? Is he now an RB2, RB3? I mean, is this guy going to be a baller eventually for us this year? Or is the injury just going to, is he never going to get back to full form this year? Is he going to be a buster?
I think he's definitely going to be a baller. A lot of it determines on Danny Dimes. They have to be making throws. They have to have a passing attack to set up his attack. I do like how much you've seen of him this week. We kind of touched on this with him being hurt. They did want to bring him in a smaller role than he usually did. I think you said it last week. He would work as much as they would let him.
Yep.
So it's he's definitely a team guy. He's definitely, for what we've seen of him this week, with that being a limited portion of his game, I think he's going to be a baller.
Yeah, I feel like Craig. I'm trying to change the game, but I'll lean baller with him. I think he's going to get it together. I think he just needs a little bit more time on that knee. If you tell me that it's not till week 4, week 5, if you ended up getting him second round, that's not bad. If you end up getting them in the first round, then that's kind of ugly that you have to wait till week 4, week 5 to start seeing some real numbers. But I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. You just got to wait a little bit. And, yeah.
Speaking of hurt, Jalen Hurts.
This next guy, Dustin's guy here, he called last week. I think I know where Dustin's going with this one, but baller, a buster. Is this for real? Can he remain a top 10 QB?
He's a baller. I mean, all intensive purposes, he's always been a baller. Pun intended. He can hurt you with his legs. He can hurt you with his arm. He's one of those players that go out and just win. I was interested this week. It hit me like halfway through the game. It's not this game, but Mac Jones and Tua both played for Alabama. It was Alabama versus Alabama.
Yeah. I think this guy gonna be a baller. And we got to sing every single episode. This guy's a baller. Not cola. If I know the rest of the lyrics, I would sing them right now.
When contract time comes, he's going to have 20-inch blades on his Impala.
Hey, Diamond Rock Walla? No, something like that. Jalen Hurts, man, I think this is for real. He's got the wheels. Whenever he's maybe not getting all the yardage passing, like he'll make up for with his legs. So yeah, I think he has potential to finish top 5 if they stick with him for the entire year, which I hope they do. They did some weird stuff at the end of last year where they pulled him out of halfway through the last game, even though like they had a chance at the playoffs. So it was weird. It's like they instantly tanked that last game. So hopefully they don't do anything weird this year. But
draft
last
picks?
but not least, yeah, I think it was a draft pick thing, but. I mean, playoffs, you got a chance to go to the playoffs. Right? Last but not least, Mr. Debo. I'm always hurt, but not hurt right now, Samuel. And he actually keep this up. And then I put where is Ayuk here was my thought when I wrote this, but now we know this dude's in the doghouse. So Samuel really doesn't have a lot of competition right now. It's pretty much him and Kittle catching passes.
I think he's going to end up being a buster. Reason being is we know it's not going to be the Garoppolo show for too much longer. Does Trey have a better connection with Ayuk? We don't know until he trots out there. So I think he's going to be a buster just because we don't know the quarterback situation.
Yeah, so I'll go even a different way with it, but I agree with you, Buster. I think you could do this here for a couple weeks, but man, this guy always ends up screwing everybody. Right when you think you can rely on him, this dude gets hurt. And then he tries to come back too early, and he plays halfway hurt, and then you think you can get like what he was doing before, but now he's not doing what he was doing before. Now he's getting half of what you were before, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. And now I'm a bencher. Do I play him? And then so yeah, your head's like that. Yeah, I think this guy's gonna end up being a buster at some point during this year. But I think you ride out with what he's doing right now, and you're gonna get burned eventually one week whenever he leaves halfway through the game, and you know. But hey, ride it out while it's hot right now.
Absolutely, free points, nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that wraps up another episode here, Dustin. We got a Friday episode coming up as norm. We'll preview week 2. We'll get into. I'm sure we'll mix in another new segment, or we'll definitely have our take it to the bank starter of the week, because, hey, if Craig would have rolled with his original guy and didn't spoil it, they spoiled halfway through the episode that it was going to be Corey Davis, and he ended up switching it at the end to Tyler Croft. He would have went 3 for 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me with Thielen, you with Hurts, and then he would have stuck with Davis. Man, we would have had touchdowns galore there. We should have been playing some DFS and putting some money on the line with this our guys. But so we'll run that segment back for sure, because I think y'all want some real winners and know who to put out there. You know, we're not telling you to play Christian McCaffrey. Everybody knows to play Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
We're giving you those guys that kind of borderline, you know.
Possible wire pickups.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll run that back next week, and maybe we'll throw in something else too. But guys, follow us on YouTube, Fantasy Football House. On Instagram, fantasy_football_house, and Twitter, follow us at FF House Show. Dustin, any other info for the fans out there?
The Discord is still up if y'all need sits or starts, wired suggestions. Definitely join the Discord. We love to have people. Sorry about that. And we'll get it. It'll be in the description, link down below.
Yes.
Quick shout out to both our sponsors, Hooked Up Outfitters and Horseshoe Dream Boutique. Hooked Up Outfitters out of Port Aransas, Texas. Put you on the fish. And Dream Boutique, pretty much anything you want on t-shirts, mugs, anything, she can do it. So definitely go check them out on Facebook. And yeah, I think that's it. My Twitter handle is NiceGuyGaming16.
And I'm at Playmakers with the Z88. Guys, like, share, leave a comment on this video. Let us know. You know, we're still in the works here of, you know, really getting the ball rolling. This is our first year, so we're trying to whatever input. We definitely like the feedback. Dustin, lead us out of here.
All right. Until next time, guys, we will catch you on the flip side, and leave your shoes at the door.
Thank you for joining the house.